I'm Jordan, Jord for short. I'm the founder and perfumer of CELIE Couch, and I'm here to tell you how to find the right wholesale or private label or white label perfume supplier. So let's go do it. Okay, so before you figure out the right wholesale, white label, private label, whatever perfume supplier for you, it's important that you understand the actual scented needs for your business and for your target audience. So, what price range are you planning to sell your perfumes in? Have you done the numbers on that? Do you know how much you're willing to spend per unit? Do you know which sizes of perfume you want to order? What about the quantity and the frequency of orders? So have you sort of mapped out how you'll get a customer base if you don't have one already, and how much you expect them to order per month or even per quarter? And then what sort of branding are you going for? So for example, are you going for the luxury market? Are you going for exclusivity? Are you going for more of the budget market? That will impact the budget that the supplier is able to offer you in terms of production. So it might be that you want a budget line, but it's EDPs. Maybe consider EDT or even cologne, especially if you're wanting to do sort of dupes. That's quite a popular request. Then you'll want dupe pricing, but that does impact the sort of level of ingredients that some suppliers are able to offer. So that's what I would say just before you do anything, before you reach out to anyone, before you sort of bring up a website, just make sure you know who you're doing it for and why this is relevant to your business. Another thing to look at when looking for the right wholesale perfume supplier is pricing and terms. That's fundamental. You're going to need to know your numbers because I'm assuming you're starting a business, to make your business stay alive, to survive, to pay rent, eat food, pay bills. So it's essential that you plan out the numbers in advance and then you check your numbers against the bias pack they've sent you. So for example, in my bias pack, I've included, and these numbers will be correct at the time of the video being posted. They may be subject to change. In my bias pack, what I have tried to do is show you the actual unit costs, how much you make on a margin, and then that as a percentage, as well as the actual monetary amount per unit. I've also added an explainer, just what all the terms mean, and just really trying to say this is how this will impact your business depending on how much you order. And then this is how much you should price at, otherwise these numbers won't make sense. That's essentially what the RRP is in most bias packs. So look at the bias pack, check it against your own numbers, your own costings, and then outside of sort of the actual cost of the project, think of the cost of marketing. Are you going to run advertisements? Are you planning for it to be your only source of income within a certain time frame? Do you have to hire a team? Can you do it on your own, or you plan to sort of outlay expenses to a team or an agency? So really try to get those costs baked in as well as the time factor as well, just so that you understand what starting this undertaking truly entails. And then just going back to the bias pack, just are there any discounts or incentives? So usually with a bias pack, if you order over certain thresholds, the unit amount decreases, so you get discounts. Is that in the bias pack? Is it a reasonable amount? Are there alternative bias packs? So for example, with me, I don't really advertise this, but I have a bias pack for EDPs, EDTs and dupes, just because the concentrations are different. So for lower concentrations, EDTs and dupes, I can charge less because I don't need to pay as much for the actual oils. Are you ordering a really, really large amount? That's where you can get like major discounts. So with one, almost made me say my number. But with one client, they were doing 40 perfumes. They wanted X amount of each perfume. It was a big ass contract. So there was a big ass discount, but it was still worth it to me as well as to them. So basically, if you're rich, you get, unfortunately, you get special treatment. I don't like saying it, but that is how bias packs do sort of work, unfortunately. We do have sort of lower minimums, but that does mean increased costs, and it does also impact how much you have to charge. You've got less flexibility on pricing because you've ordered less. So just keep all that in mind. I'm probably going to include a link to a buyer's pack just so you understand what I'm talking about. And most likely I'll do like a visual walkthrough in the actual final video as well. Okay, so where can you find a wholesale perfume supplier? Here, of course. But just to take the bias out of it, but seriously, hi me, take the bias out of it, you'll want to look at directories online. Try to stay away from the ads, look at the actual top search results, but even then people can game those with SEO, guilty, that's what I'm trying to do right now. But more importantly than sort of what's in your face, look at the recommendations and reviews, look at industry trade shows and events. Are they operational? Are they doing good work? And not just the client said nice things about them. Did the project do what it set out to do? To the customers of the client like the work? So it's all well and good getting my client to, because it's the thing, like for a testimonial, we ask the client. The client's not just going to leave a review, like we ask them, and if we haven't pissed them off, and if we chase them, they'll willingly do it. So to get a true unbiased look at the quality of someone's work, it's good to look at what the client's customers think and how the client is performing as a result of that work. So for example, with actually, no, I don't want to toot my own horn, but essentially look at the case studies, but then actually go to the source of the case study. So look at the actual project itself, the website, look at the press coverage around it, look at just anything that is organic, but not sort of organic in that it was orchestrated. So that's what I'd say in terms of looking for a supplier, just off the top of your head, just in terms of trusting. And then just going in a bit more into credibility, just again verifying the business legitimacy. Some are sole traders like me, so for example I don't have a listing on a company's house, but that is a standard place to start, like just to make sure you're trusting what they're doing. If someone doesn't have a company's house, then maybe look, and that isn't everything either, like it's very easy to set up. But if that isn't there, look at their case studies, look at any certifications and licenses that you want, look again at the testimonials, but look beyond the testimonials into what the customers of that client is saying. Okay, so reliability, again, because it's a big project, you want to make sure you've got it correct. So I forgot to mention the practical things earlier on in the video, such as delivery times and shipping practices. So how long does it take them to manufacture and get the product to you? Can you collect the product if you don't want to pay for shipping? Yes, you can with us, by the way. Is the shipping secure? Is it tracked, etc.? If you're shipping abroad, will your products get to you safely? Because perfume can be tricky to ship, but we have a supplier for that, so yes. Customer service and support, how responsive is the client? Do they have an email address? Do they have a phone number? Do those contact details work? Because that has been a thing. Are they easy to find? That's the other thing. I used to be very responsive to the point that I'd give people my personal number. That does not happen anymore, I can tell you. More than one 1 a.m. email, which I do know that. But I am still quite responsive. I try to respond within 1 to 2 working days, occasionally on the weekends, because still learning boundaries. But for the most part, just keeping it on my email. Just everything's in writing, because I used to do some product management in WhatsApp. It makes things really confusing. It's good to just have one long thread and just a complete record of the project in one place. In terms of returns and refunds, what's their policy on that? Are there certain deliverables that have to be done? Can stock be partially exchanged, or what happens if there's breakage? Is there a partial refund on that? So just ask the clients these questions as well, just so there are no surprises, or ask for a formal contract if you're sort of a bit nervous, just going through every situation. That's it. And then just going to graphics and packaging design, you may have like a very specific vision in mind. Is this something that the wholesale supplier can do if you want packaging? For me personally, I outsource all of that. I can design, it's just I prefer having it in a different place. and it just saves time so I can focus on the perfumes because that's quite a big undertaking on its own. So I work with a professional agency, and then we sort of coordinate on that, so we make sure that your packaging is just tickety-boo. So in terms of can they make good perfume, it's best to, and it's going to cost you money, it's best to actually order from their website any existing perfumes they already have. You can request samples, some will be willing, some won't, just especially if they run their own their own line. Some customers do try to get free perfume that way by pretending to be a client. Not saying everyone, but just one or two. So personally, I don't send out free samples anymore because of that. But you can order a sample pack at a reduced rate if you are looking to try this to try the scents that are in existence. However, for for wholesale, that is going to be necessary because you're ordering an existing product. If you're wanting to design your own product, it doesn't matter too much. I'd set more store personally. Although again, I am biased, so take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I would personally look again at the testimonials and looking beyond the testimonials into what the actual customers of the client, not the client, but the customers of the client say about the quality of the product. In terms of assessing, like, what ingredients do you want in the perfume, just making sure that's possible. So you can send an email and just say, look, is this possible? Do these ingredients go well together? Are there any shortages of these ingredients? So there's just ask what's possible, and if it's not possible, they will try to find a way, most likely. Analog ingredients can be used that do smell quite similar. You can even recreate something and it doesn't have any of the actual thing in it, which is wild. So I remember once I needed to recreate vetiver, but I forgot that I was out of vetiver. So I ended up using pyrrolone and something else. But essentially it blended quite close. And yeah, that's how I would approach from sort of getting a sense of, are they good at what they do? If you do order a sample, then just, does it last for a long time? Like, I don't know, a reasonable amount of time on the skin, unless it's cologne, in which case it's going to take as long as it takes. Does it smell good? Does it feel like it has a point of view? Not artistically, but commercially. Do you see a particular type of person wearing it, and do you see them wanting to wear it? So not just like intended for them to wear it, like they would actually be interested in this. Even if it's not to your personal taste, you could see someone you know wearing it. That's another thing I would look at. Another thing to consider is how to build a healthy working relationship with your perfume wholesale supplier. So boundaries on both sides is one thing. So you can't be blowing up your wholesale supplier's phone at 1 a.m. You can't be doing that. And they shouldn't be letting you do that either, which is why I don't do that anymore. So personal example. Negotiate a contract, get something in writing, even if you have to template it, although ideally look it over with a lawyer if you can afford that, and send that over to the client, or ask the client to provide a contract. So we have a template in place for that. In terms of communication channels, just have one place, maybe two places, just so everything is in one place. So ideally a long email thread, just so everything can be searched through that thread. You're not sort of looking at multiple threads and it's confusing because you don't know who said what. Ideally get everything in writing, including what you say, just because phone calls can be misremembered. I have learned that the hard way. Phone calls can be misremembered, so make sure it's in writing, in black and white. If you need to clarify on phone, but if in doubt, especially early stage, then record the phone call. That's fine. And then just monitor the wholesale perfume supplier's performance. So are deliverables being met? Are they doing things when they say they are going to be done? So with that, I try to actually add a pad, just because sometimes things can take longer than planned. So I try to add like a pad to when things are meant to be done, but hopefully having them done earlier so there is no delay. So yeah, just that's all I have to say on sort of building a healthy working relationship. And then also just one more thing, just be patient with the process. It can take a while, even in the best cases, but there are almost always delays. or sort of usually due to things sort of because it's not just the wholesale supplier you're working with their partners, their suppliers, and sometimes there can be delays on that end as well. Or sometimes you might not know exactly what you want yet, even if you've planned it out already. Like sometimes it can change last minute, so we all need to ask you for information just to really nail down the project. So just a little bit of patience, and then if you feel like they're being impatient, just maybe check them on that as well, because it does work both ways. Respect. So that's everything I have to say for now. I've been talking a lot this video on how to find the right wholesale perfume supplier. Hopefully it's been helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you'd like to work with me, you can find me on the contact details below. We do wholesaling with our own in-house range, boutique, EDPs. We also do private label, bespoke design. We do white label, but we do white label, and it's again with that in-house range, just under your own branding, your own name, and then we do drop shipping as well. And we also, final one, we do ambient scenting. So if you've got a hotel lobby somewhere and you want it to smell real good, then send us a message. Thank you.